Members of the media, thank you for attending this press conference called in relation to the most recent murder. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you very much, and thank you for attending this morning. First of all, the Bermuda Police Service would like to send its condolences to the family and friends of Colford Ferguson for this tragic death. Shortly I'll be handing over to Detective Chief Inspector Nick Pedro, who will address you directly in relation to the progress we're making on the investigation and provide you with some more information. However, before that, I'd just like to speak to the progress the Bermuda Police Service has made in the past year in our fight to tackle gun and violent crime. You will be aware that this is the first death since August last year relating to gun violence. That will clearly be no comfort to Mr. Ferguson's family, and I do not wish to minimise the impact it will have on them and indeed his friends. However, the Bermuda Police Service has made significant progress in bringing offenders to justice. I'd just like to give you some more facts just to reinforce that. Some of these facts you'll already be aware of, but it always helps to emphasise them. 6 persons have been charged with murder, and all will appear before the Supreme Court in the next 6 months. 11 people have been charged with attempted murder in relation to firearms offences. As you know, we've already received 7 convictions in the Supreme Court since January of last year, 2010. And at least 9 people will stand trial again in the Supreme Court this year for firearms-related offences. During recent trials of gun-related offences, persons have received over 60 years imprisonment for those offences, including a 25-year single sentence. Whilst I and the Bermuda Police Service recognises that it is crucial that we catch and convict those responsible for gun and gang violence, we are also working extremely hard to prevent the violence escalating and to keep our communities safe. You will know from the figures recently released by the Commissioner that we're arresting more people, we're stopping more people, and we're deploying visible uniform presence in the areas of most community tension. Of course, we couldn't do this without the support of the community. Our efforts are greatly assisted by the support of individuals who are prepared consistently and constantly to come forward and assist our investigators. It is clear that the people of Bermuda want to help the police. That indeed could be done in any way, by supplying direct evidence of a crime as it takes place or indeed following that crime, by supplying information in person, or indeed anonymously, or just by passing on personal views, which are equally important. All of this helps us to tackle criminal activity, and in particular gun and gang violence. I'd now like to pass on to DCI Pedro just to cover the events that occurred on Friday and give you a perspective of the police investigation to date.
Thank you, Assistant Commissioner, and may I also start by offering my condolences to the family and friends of Mr. Ferguson. My investigative team has been working very hard with the family over the weekend to assure that their needs are met and that they've been kept up to date with all relevant information and progress in the investigation. I will start by just taking you through the events of what has transpired thus far. At about 2:08 p.m. on Friday gone, which was the 4th of February, several calls were received through 911 suggesting that gunshots were heard in the Sunset Village. The investigation revealed that persons in the village at the time went into the crime scene, which is identified at number 2 East Shore Road in Sands, and found the victim in this matter, Mr. Colford Ferguson, whose name we've already released to the media. The first officers arrived at the scene within 14 minutes of receiving the first call. The scene was immediately preserved and cordoned off for forensic examination, and in fact we continue to hold that crime scene, and those examinations even today are continuing some 3 days into the investigation. So it's quite an intensive scene exam that is taking place, which is yielding some results. Mr. Ferguson, at the time of responding, was in a non-responsive state and was subsequently declared dead by an on-duty physician. An autopsy has already been conducted by an overseas forensic pathologist, which determined that Mr. Ferguson died from multiple gunshot wounds. A full investigation into this crime is underway by the Serious Crime Unit, and a complement of detectives from both that unit and the Forensic Support Unit have examined and continue to examine the scene to collect evidence, and witnesses have been sought and interviewed. There are a number of lines of inquiry that have been carried out by the investigative team, and significant progress has been made. Officers have been in the Somerset area over the weekend interviewing witnesses and canvassing for further evidence. The investigative team, again, I can't emphasize this enough, would still like to speak with anyone that may have seen or heard anything related to this incident, however irrelevant it may seem to them. We're particularly interested in identifying a male who was dressed in dark clothing in the lay-by just east of the crime scene, just prior to the incident of the shooting, and we'd urge anyone that may know the identity or indeed that person to come forward and make contact with the investigative team. Whilst the police will actively seek out witnesses and collect all available evidence, we encourage anyone with information regarding this matter to come forward, and the information and/or evidence will be treated in the strictest of confidence. And as you know, the Serious Crime Unit can be contacted on 299-8106 or on the Confidential and Independent Crime Stoppers hotline, which is 800-TIPS. Thank you.